Hello, NZ5 here, the brand new mic too, with a tier list for the upcoming season. And actually, this is a bit of an aggregate tier list. I, being the no-lifer that I am, have gone and scoured all of the other content creators that I know that made tier lists and have been hanging out in streams for 12 to 16 hours a day for the last few days, just kind of getting the feel of what everybody felt about the upcoming patch and all the classes and everything. And I kind of did a loose weighted sum of other people's placements and then looked at it and made my own judgment calls. You know, I gave more weight to certain people's tier lists versus others, depending on how they put it together. And I've actually got two tier lists for you. This first one, to be clear, is just my guesstimate on the popularity of these classes, meaning how many people I think are going to be playing them. I think there's been a few things, like there was a Discord poll in the Torchlight server, the Torchlight Discord, that had these three as the top ones, and then other. And that lines up pretty well with what I've been hearing. Originally, I was thinking Gemma 2 was going to be the most popular, but that was in the initial days after the reveal and patch notes and everything. And then as we're getting closer to launch, I'm hearing more and more people talking about playing Erica 3. So it makes sense. She's generally the brand new character tends to be pretty popular. Thea has been a bit of an outlier lately where, you know, after a few days, if you're just counting like those who have hit level 95, she's way up there. But with some nerfs and changes or whatever, Thea finally got dethroned a little bit, but still insanely popular class. So anyways, let's start off right here from the start. Obviously, Erica 3, the brand new character coming out. I think most people are going to be leveling with either Thunder Spike, just like the other Ericas always do, or combo skills of some kind. Then we got Gemma 2, which you can level with anything cold, lol. But most people are going to be doing tangles with either Ring of Ice or Ice Lance, is what it sounds like. But honestly, if you pick a cold skill or fully convert to cold, and you're probably fine on Gemma 2. Then we got Thea 3, the old mind control queen, who has been nerfed for that build. However, I think there will still be a lot of people that will just still play mind control on Thea. Alternatively, they could play Ground Shaker or Ring of Blades. She is still probably the best character for taking advantage of deterioration, so she has some of those options. And then after that, this is my own personal guess kind of, is that Yuga 2 is going to take up some of the Thea 3 percentages, right? Like last league, it was almost half the league was of level 95s after a couple days was all Thea 3 mind control, right? Well, but the people that really know and play mind control are all moving over towards Yuga 2. So I think if you take those percentages and kind of split them up, you know, that's going to push Yuga 2 way up. Maybe I'm a little too high, but I think he'll be pretty close to here. And then we got Bing 2, which anytime you have a new Battle Pass character that then goes core, they tend to be up in the top 5 by default. Now, it'll probably be might be more like this, but, you know, close enough. Then we have Erica 1. Erica 1's just strong character in general. Once we get into the other tier list, talk about how strong things are to get to profound farming, Erica's quite up there. So I think she'll be a solid choice. Now we come into the next tier here, decently popular. We got Rosa 2, which the only reason... Rosa 2 is quite good once you're into the end game or you've got some funds already, but I think the fact that this is more likely to be some people's second character is what pushes her down just a bit. Even though you can play Rosa 2 without mana stacking. Like you could play her as like hybrid life energy shield. You could just play Thunder Spike on her for a long time, right? You don't have to be a mana stacker to be playing Rosa 2. There are other ways to play her, but you do need to kind of go into either excuse me, mana stacking or Berserking Blade or something before you're really going to push like into Profound. Then we have Selena, who's always a very solid league starter choice. And she's always kind of like in the top 7 or 8 for the last few leagues. So, and I think she'll still be there. Then we're getting into Yuga 1, who got some good buffs with cast speed and might synergize really well with the Tangle stuff. Alternatively, you could just play like lightning beam or maybe chain lightning or something on him. Then we have Iris 2, who always kind of like flies under the radar a little bit. Maybe it's just some people don't understand how to play her. She's a little odd, but she's got viable builds for Rock, Fire, or Thunder Magus, from my understanding, and that they're all relatively inexpensive compared to a lot of other stuff, and they're quite strong. So, I don't know. It feels like, from what I hear of how strong she is, I'm always a little surprised she's not more popular, but oh well. Then there's Rihan 2, who I think is mostly going to be doing some kind of combo, probably Crescent Slash or potentially Berserking Blade. Carino 3 is, if this was like a month in the league, he'd be like somewhere up here, right? But a lot of Carino 3's best builds take a lot of funds, so to start off the league, he's a bit lower. I might even have him slightly too high. He might be more like down here somewhere for the first week or two, and people play something like one of these classes, get some money, fund their Carino 3 builds. Then we start getting into stuff where, a lot of these classes are going to be like 1 to 3% of the player base. And, if 30 different people play one than another, somebody could jump a bunch of spots. So these last two tiers aren't really in order so much. But to start off, we got Moto 1 here with the Grim Phantom, I believe, tends to be the more popular early skill on him. We have Rihan 1, who will probably be, I believe, it's going to be a life stacker. And I forget what skill I was hearing people were playing, but I heard that that's going to be more of a life stacker type thing. We have Rosa 1 with Ground Shaker, which you're going to hear a couple times here. It's a pretty strong skill to start out with on a couple different classes. We have Gemma 1 with Thunder Core, or maybe Rain of Arrows, I think I've heard. Bing 1 Hammer Vash, which in the next tier list you'll see that it's always astounds me how few people end up playing Bing 1, and yet how unanimously everybody agrees that Bing 1 Hammer Vash is like the cheapest build to get into Profound with, Based on that, you would think, he'd be like up here somewhere, but for some reason, nobody likes to play it. People say that the build's clunky, but I've played it, and maybe I'm just spoiled from, compared to other games, almost every build in Torchlight feels smooth to me, but compared to other Torchlight builds, yes, his build is a bit clunky, but I didn't think it was too bad when I played it. In any case, after that, we've got Gemma 3, also potentially with Hammer Vash, or Barrier Burst through the Necklace of Firebird legendary. Then we're going into the niche popularity, where, all of these classes, by the way, does not mean they aren't strong or that they don't have a build that can do things, right? A lot of people, will talk about, they think of some class can't do good damage, and then there was a guy this league, somebody named Sandstorm, who had a crazy Moto 1 build where he was doing supposedly upwards of 100 trillion damage. I based on what he told me, I could see how that's possible. I know the guy's a good player, but I personally haven't seen the build, so I don't exactly know how he did it, but he definitely was one of the only people in NA that did SS21 on the character. But despite that, these are just some of the less popular characters. Doesn't mean they're bad. This isn't necessarily a strength list whatsoever. This is just kind of a guess on which characters will be played the most. And Erica 2, I think, unfortunately, gets some of her thunder stolen by Erica 3 and 1. So she just ends up being like, the odd man out here in the Erica trio now. Then we have Moto down here. Moto 2 is Spider Tank. Carino 1 and Carino 2. Carino 1 will be, I forget actually. Carino 2 is Isolate's Ice Shot, I think. Iris 1, supposedly, again, down here, less popular. We'll go into the strength one in a minute, but some kind of Magus build. Fire Thunder Magus early, potentially Erosion Magus later, because it got quite a big buff in this patch, but I don't know too much about Iris 1. I don't know if that buff was good enough to really push her up or not. but it's something to keep an eye on. And then Theo 1 and 2, I haven't really heard almost anybody talking about playing them at all. I'm sure there's going to be some people that play them. I don't think I've heard a single person in any Twitch chat or Discord or anything saying, hell yeah, I'm starting Theo 2, man. So my understanding is Ground Shaker is decent on both of them, though, if that is what you're going to do. And that's going to do it for the popularity tier list. And then we come to the, this tier list is how easy / cheap it is to get the character to Profound farming, and also how good they are at farming in Profound, right? So basically how good of a league starter they are. This is not a how easy it is for them to do Deep Space and SS20. This is just for getting to and farming Profound. So with that in mind, once again, I went through, watched a lot of other tier lists, listened to a lot of streams, was on Discord a lot, and my own personal experience, this is kind of what I came up with. The Erica 1 is been proven. BM Legolas has done this many times now, shown how easily he can get up into Profound, and Test and True, it's not too expensive to do, and it's fast farmer, a lot of damage. This league, it's a little bit speculation. There are some things there. This might be the one that I'm the most wrong on, potentially, but I don't think so, because if I'm wrong on it, then so is like half the creators out there. But there's a lot of very viable things you can be doing with Gemma 2, and with the tangles and everything, you know, based on the reveal videos, looks like it's going to be a very fast farmer as well. So it should be a pretty solid choice, which is also why I think it's one of the more popular choices. Then we have good old Selena, who is just a very, very solid league starter each season, right? Not too expensive to get up to the point that you can farm Profound, and then when you can, very, very fast farmer. Much like Thea Mind Control, but a bit cheaper, a bit easier to make that jump from Time Arcade into Profound. Then we have the new character, Erica 3, who it remains to be seen exactly how expensive it'll be to get into Profound, but assuming we can do that without breaking the bank, she's an extremely fast farmer, so that helps push her up as well, right? Once you're doing enough damage, then then she's going to be great at farming in Profound, right? Then we have Bink 2, who did get a tiny nerf in the patch notes, but I think the graphs and everything will help make up for that, and is also very fast. Then we have one that here, Bing 1 Hammer Vash. This is an odd character in that it's almost unanimously agreed Bing 1 Hammer Vash is the cheapest character to get into Profound farming. So then you might be saying, Enzi, well, why isn't he over here? Well, he's also, once we're in Profound, he's not necessarily the fastest farmer, right? A lot of these characters are going to farm faster and quicker than Bing 1 will. But in terms of money spent to get there, Bing would be all the way up here. But that's actually originally when I made this list, I kind of did have him there, but I said, I think I'm being a little too much there. I need to drop him down a bit. Oops, I think I had him right here. Then we're getting into the Yugas here. Yuga 1 getting big buffs to his cast speed this patch. And based on the pseudo confirmation, I've heard it from many sources now that somebody talked to the devs that says the cast speed definitely affects tangles. So we're all assuming that it does, in which case Yuga 1 might be quite solid up here. Alternative, there's other options you can do even if you don't end up going the tangles with him, but I think tangles might be quite good on Yuga 1. I might be a little bit off here. I don't know. These are a little interchangeable because Yuga 2 is taking over the Mind Control throne, of course. And based on my experience with the 3 Mind Control, however, the jump from Time Arc 8 to Profound is a little tough. Once you get there, you're a very fast farmer, but making that jump is a little bit of a wall. You have to kind of farm tier 8 for a bit. Now, if this was a tier list about just getting to tier 8, he'd be a lot higher. Tier 3 Mind Control was one of the cheaper, better characters to get to Time Arc 8, but then you hit a bit of a wall going up to Profound. And on that same note, these could be right next to each other. Basically, they're very close. I think Yuga 2 is better for mind control now, but Thea has some other builds available to her, such as Ring of Blades or Ground Shaker as well. Of course, you still play mind control on her, but all signs are pointing to Yuga 2 being a little bit better if that's what you really want to play. Then we get to Rosa 2, who, again, it's a little bit of a wall from like Time Arcade up to Profound, where you have to kind of get into mana stacking. Then we go to Rihan 2 here, who's going to be doing more probably combo Crescent Slash is my understanding. And both Rihans, the last few leagues, because they're not a super duper popular class, that helps it be more affordable for you to gear up to get into Profound. Then we got the Gemmas here, Gemma 3 and Gemma 1. They're big sisters up here now with their rework. Again, they have some solid builds, and because we're getting into classes that are, 2% or less of the player base, so a lot of your gear isn't nearly as bad. And we have Iris 2, same thing here. I always know about the guy who plays the rock builds with Iris 2 every league, and I've been meaning to try and check this build out at some point. I really want to play it, but for what I've seen, it's solid. Again, small, not a super popular character, so it's not like you're paying a premium for popularity for your items. Then we got Rihan 1, Burst of Anger. We get into the B tier with Iris 1. Now this one, okay, Iris 1, this is the most contentious one on this list, because depending on who you looked at or talked to, they either had her like up here or down here. So I'm kind of hedging my bets and just putting her in the middle. And I think the issue, she has viable builds with both Fire and Thunder Magus, and the Erosion Magus got a big buff, but it remains to be seen if that's going to work out or be good for endgame. But, it's entirely possible she's freaking up here somewhere. I don't really know. I'm not super familiar with either Iris, but based on, all the information I gathered and kind of put together, I'm putting her in the middle for now. Let's see here. Then we have Theo 1, who I believe, what was the skill? Let me look again what I had written down here. I think it was Lightning Storm, maybe? Or probably Ground Shaker. When in doubt, Ground Shaker seems to be something half of the Theo 1 and 2s and whoever are doing this league. Also, near the bottom of this list, I'm less confident in the exact order. These are more just kind of generically like this, because, again, once you get into like 1% of the player base playing something, you're going to have huge outliers where there can be a build. They could have an extremely, extremely strong build that is extremely cheap, and it's just almost nobody knows about it because almost nobody is playing the class, right? So, if you're one of those people who likes to find some off-meta thing or, something like that and buck the meta and whatever, one of these characters is probably for you. Nobody is saying these are unplayable characters. There's just, as far as we know, like, okay, for example, Carino 3 here at the end. Carino 3 is extremely strong, right? If this was a endgame SS20 deep space type tier list, he'd be up here somewhere. The only reason he's this far down is that he's a bit expensive to get started. He's more of a second character, right? He's the guy you play one of these for the first week or two or whatever to farm up, and then you fund your Carino 3 build, right? But for actually starting out, league starting, trying to get into Profound, he's down here. I kind of skipped over Rosa 1 here, but yeah, Rosa 1, also Ground Shaker. Then we go into, again, a lot of this is interchangeable near the end here. We have the other Moto, who Moto 1, I believe Spider takes is generally what you'd be doing to start with. Carino 1 split shot. Erica, give you one guess. Starts with a thunder, ends with a spike. And then Carino 2 and Thea 2, I don't know anybody playing them. I haven't heard of a solid build that can go up to profound, to league start on. I don't know. I'm sure there is one. Not saying these characters are unplayable, just out of everything, I think these two have I have the least confidence in them as to be a good league starter for you. So that's basically my tier list for strength, easy and cheapest to get to profound. So just to wrap up this video, since I recorded the two clips before this a few hours ago now, and since then I was doing some research, and then I started to edit the video together, and since then I've actually gotten some interesting information about builds and such, some stuff from the Chinese community getting translated and sent over, and looking at some more numbers, talking to a few other creator friends, and I kind of wish I could redo a few of these, but it's getting a little time crunch here. Need to go to sleep, and I still need to do another video before league launch, preferably. The things I've found out is, one, that the tangles might be a little bit of a bait. It seems that the numbers are kind of working out where Spellburst is still going to outperform it later on. And knowing that, I think I might drop Gemma 2 a couple spots. I'm seeing some things on Erica 3 that might make me push her up a slot. Bing 2 I'd probably push up a little bit, and Yuga 1 as well, because they can both be quite good for Spellburst. But I made the list. I think this league, a lot of things have changed. There's been reworks, new stuff, the grafting system. There's a lot of things are up in the air, right? Any creator telling you this is 100%, this is exactly the best tier list ever, everything's correct, they're full of it. Everybody's just kind of guessing, just kind of pointing you in the right direction, hopefully, right? But hopefully this gave you enough information that if you weren't sure who to play, and somebody in the top tiers, just you vibe with that character, you like the play style, you think they look cool, whatever, get you started on the right path. But there's going to be a lot of things in the first few days of the league that are going to get discovered, new builds, things like that. Just stay tuned for updates, that kind of a thing. We're all going to be figuring it out as we go. So, but in any case, I hope you found this information useful. If you did, always a like, comment, or sub helps me out. I appreciate it. And once again, I'm NZ5, and I hope you drop a ton of loot. Just you. Only you. Bye.
Shards, he bends the whole economy. Oh, anti-bankbringer supreme, you're the one that keeps us free, turning every shattered foe into liquid currency. He's got the luck of 10,000 souls. Every map he touches turns to gold. Enemies fall and drop their crown. He's the one.